So as we're coming to the end of the year, naturally we reflect. And there's some things that I've learned and principles that I definitely think that we should be able to implement next year. And I've split this up into 4 categories: growth, health, productivity, and relationships. Let's get into it. The first one is to speak clearly. Speak clearly and remove out filler words. Now, for most of us, this might not come naturally and it might take a bit of practice. But when this is done properly, you're able to communicate in just a different way. You're able to tell stories and captivate. You're able to hold people's attention. It could be something that is quite actually simple, but because they've said it in their own way, you are now on tenterhooks. Make an agreement with yourself with the type of words that you want to use and the type of words that you don't want to use. Working as a designer, I'm constantly having to present my work, pitch my ideas, and explain my thought process. And this needs to be done in an easily digestible manner. One of my directors actually gave me a great piece of advice that has stuck with me, and he said, be specific with your words. Don't use filler phrases and statements. This often happens, especially in the corporate world, which actually grinds my gears, dare I say it, is that they use all these phrases and terminology that don't actually mean anything when you think about it. These phrases and words can be easily interpreted as something else. So if you aren't being specific with what you say, someone can actually take that in a totally different way, and that's not what you want. Learn to say no. Now, I've reached the stage where I pretty much know what I like and what type of events that I'm going to get some type of fulfillment from. Case in point, a few weeks ago, I was invited out to an event. It wasn't for anything specific, it was just for the sake of going out. And from time to time, yes, I do like to do that, mostly during summer. But I'm in a period right now where I've got my head down and it's mostly about work. So I politely declined. Have a cap on things that are not necessary. I remember in my younger days, I attended way too many events, stayed way too long, had less sleep than what I should have had because I went to events and nights out that I had no business being there. And in the end, I didn't really miss out on anything. And the only reason why I said yes is because I had the fear of missing out. And I'd always think to myself, maybe this would be the night where we all have an amazing night, but it was always the same. Nothing special. Learn to say no. On a long enough timeline, everyone's survival drops down to 0. So let me delve a bit more into that. So what we have is finite. Our time, our presence on this planet is for a limited time only. And I don't know what it is lately, but there's been a lot of deaths with friends, family, and just people that I know. And just the idea of death in itself has been a reoccurring thing that I've been thinking about lately, and just about the shortness of time. And it's been a subtle reminder that the time we have, it's temporary. When people die, it's a reminder that no day is guaranteed. I think we often wake up and we just expect we'll be there in the future. Do it now. I came across someone the other day that was very, very indecisive. They literally were overthinking about thinking. And this person was very clearly intelligent. They spoke about wanting to do things that they hadn't done, and me being me, I wanted to advise. And that was just to test one thing at a time, and you don't need to do everything all at once. Humans are multifaceted. We enjoy loads of things. When you're looking at a successful person, it doesn't mean that they've hit a home run straight away at that particular business or whatever they are good at or successful at. Maybe they've tried several things and it's taken accumulation of tests and errors for them to get to this point. But in order to get to that point, they needed to do something. They needed to act to see what sticks. And just because something has worked out for someone else doesn't mean the same thing will work out for you. Do it now. Every day people overthink and talk themselves out of doing something that is courageous. They bottle it and continue to do the same thing they were doing last week. Sometimes you just have to run with it and do it now. Do hard things. Everyone should do something at least once a year that is difficult and hard to achieve. I've recently signed up to something that I think is probably going to be my biggest challenge yet, but you will find out later. When you have something that is difficult to achieve, it acts like a North Star, something for you to focus on. I mean, personally for me, I don't want to go through life living it on easy mode. I want to have stories to tell, scars to bear, and say to myself, yes, I did that. Even though it was difficult, I still did it. Now, a year and a half ago, I climbed a mountain mountain, Snowdonia in Wales. And with me being generally quite fit, I didn't do much research into the route or the actual mountain itself. Naive, I know. And the videos that I'd seen on YouTube, they were predominantly shot during summertime, so the route didn't look that difficult. And it looked very doable. Boy, was I wrong. So to begin, the first 15 to 20 minutes, the incline was insane. It must have been around 25 degrees, probably a bit over that, but it was definitely steep. And I thought to myself, I'm already out of breath and we're only probably 20 minutes in. So after the initial beginning, it was very scenic. It was actually beautiful. There was a beautiful view, there was rivers flowing, there was even sheep crossing our paths. And this terrain was fairly flat, so I was loving it at this point. Then we started to see patches of snow on the floor. Then there was snow on the horizon. Then we were fully immersed in snow. This was mostly the unforeseen thing that we didn't really predict. And at this point, we were probably an hour and a half, maybe a bit more, of just straight hiking non-stop. And this is where things start to get difficult. Real difficult. The terrain was not as steep as before as the beginning, but it was icy enough and snowy enough that if you wasn't careful and you put your foot in the wrong place, you would make an error and slip. We was now fully immersed in snow, and it's at this point you actually started to see people turning back as they didn't want to go any further. And this is what I'm trying to get at. I had inadvertently signed up for something that was actually really difficult. But me being me and the group that we was with, we spared and cheered each other on. And to be quite honest, I actually wanted to give up at least 3 times. I mean, seriously, I really wanted to give up. I wanted to stop and turn back. I mean, I've never felt my heart beat so hard and so fast. And whenever I'd look over the edge or just turn around to look back to see how far I would come, it was both a feeling of being terrified and exhilarated at the same time. But every time I had that thought of giving up, I thought to myself, no, and I'm gonna finish. It was all about just taking one more step closer to the peak. I mean, quite honestly, I felt like I was climbing Mount Everest. I mean, that is blizzard-like weather. In the end, we did it. It was around 5.5 hours in total, there and back. That was all a long-winded way just to say, do difficult things. Because when you do difficult things, like I did, I was proud of myself because I didn't turn back. It brought a sense of pride, achievement, and a feeling like I'd never felt before. Get outside, get out and walk. We are now living in a time where we are more indoors, more than ever, and sitting down for long periods of time is just not good for you. Now, this is a phrase often used in the bodybuilding world. Now, this is where you increase the weight, the rep range, or just make it more difficult than it was last time. And it's such a small change. In some workouts, you may not actually feel that it's much different, but it's still there. When you're doing anything, as a matter of fact, your mind and your body, it acclimatizes. So if you've been doing the same routine day in, day out, it's probably best that you need to switch it up. It's very easy to stay in our comfort zones. And when you think about it, our mood will fluctuate from day to day. Each session that you do, make a note of it. And then next time you're in, try to make an improvement. It could be anything in any capacity. It doesn't need to be weight related. This eventually will have a compounding effect. And in 3 months, you look back and think, I've come a long way. Garbage in, garbage out. Now, you are gifted one vessel, one engine, one body, and it needs the correct fuel. Listen, I like treats from time to time. I love a good old cheeseburger. Yes, I do. I love burger, chips. With ketchup, it needs ketchup. And treats are nice, especially in the moment. But there have been many times where I don't feel good after. I don't like that tired feeling that I have, or that feeling in your stomach where it just feels stretched out and you could almost go to sleep. Now that's your body giving you a sign, signaling to you how you're feeling. And it's telling you whether that food or meal that you ate, whether it's a good source of energy or not. And your body is constantly giving you signals, but for the majority of us, we ignore it because whatever we're eating feels good in the moment. Depending on what I eat, there is a noticeable difference in my mood and my productivity. You can't be your optimal self if you're not giving yourself good food. And yes, I know we all live busy lifestyles, and most of the time we want something that is quick and easy. But we also need to be aware that for the majority of cases, whatever is quick and easy is probably not the best thing for us to eat. In life, there are always trade-offs. We might be eating something that is quick and easy that saves us time. or we can prepare our meals and it takes a long while to prepare. So I have a rule. For the majority of the week, most of my meals will be cooked. This is Monday to Friday. And on the weekends, if I feel like I want to, I indulge a little. I'll have a burger and chips with ketchup. This is not an every weekend occurrence, but if I want to, I can. And this just acts as some parameters for me. It gives me boundaries within I can act when it comes to my diet. Seek progress, not perfection. Okay, let's say you want to start eating clean. This is going to be especially difficult for you during the start because every now and again, you may slip up. You may be in the office one day and someone's got some cake and you may indulge a little, and that's okay. Let me tell you why. Because you've got in your mind that you want to be better. Just because you've had one treat doesn't mean now the whole day is written off. Take the hit and get back on track. It's hard to do a total 180, so start to make small changes. It could be something as little as, okay, let me start cutting out fizzy drinks. And then next week, it's condiments. Sadly, you might cut out ketchup. Whenever I've made changes, and I've made these changes slowly, I've been more likely to maintain them and keep those good habits over time. Preparation is key. When it comes to health and wellness, if you don't prep, it will go down the drain. For the week, I usually have my workouts planned. The day before my workouts, I lay my clothes out. The night before, I make sure all my gym equipment is packed. I even have my meals prepped, ready for me to eat. I've prepared everything so I could just pick it up and go. Prioritize your sleep. Now, I've gone through periods of my life where I've had 6 to 5 hours of sleep consistently, and I've never felt as terrible as I did when I don't get enough sleep. And quite frankly, every area of my life was diminished when I did this. When I got less sleep, I was more irritable, I was more likely to snack, I was less present, my workouts wasn't as intense as it should be. I mean, the list can go on. A good night's sleep starts from the night before. When you turn off your computer, you don't just rip out the power cable. No, there's a set of steps that you go through in order to shut down your computer. The same goes for us when we're going to bed. Don't expect yourself to have a good night's sleep if you're just going from your device straight to your bed. So have a routine set in place. Whether you dim the lights, whether you get off your devices, going to bed is a gradual process. Prioritize your sleep and do what you can to ease yourself into sleep. Now, if you're a person that doesn't do any type of physical activity, or even worse, you just sit on your desk all the time, this is especially important for you. Stretching is good for your muscles and your joints, and I find it really helps with those just everyday movements, bending over, doing a squat movement, reaching for something. Practice self-care. Now, lately I've been getting my hair cuts a little bit more often than what I would usually do. Why? Quite frankly, I feel amazing after. And for me, a haircut isn't just a haircut. It's time where I talk to my barber, and the people who are in the barbers often open up and we all start talking. I find far too often than not, especially guys, we don't tend to open up and we don't talk. And the barbers is one of those places where we do talk. So there is a doubling effect here. You're killing two birds with one stone. You're looking good and you're getting things off your chest. Now, you can't possibly imagine how many thoughts that are running through your mind every day. Now, sometimes you need an outlet, and I think journaling is great for it. When you journal, you can see it, you can organize it, you can re-strategize. For me, I'm quite a visual person. If I can see it written down, I can visualize it, and I feel like I'm going to achieve whatever goals I've written down. Try to block out 90-day goals. Have you ever noticed that when you have a given amount of time to do something, you actually take up that whole amount of time to actually get it completed? If you have an infinite amount of time to do something, it will take an infinite amount of time. When you have a clear cutoff point, this now gives you a deadline. Set yourself mini deadlines also. These can be weekly or fortnightly goals. Working as a UX designer, there's something called design sprints. It's where you basically build something in a short amount of time. The goal is not for it to be perfect, but just to have something that you could use and you could test. But because you do have a short amount of time, it forces you to ideate, generate ideas, because sometimes we spend way too much time thinking about something, researching it, talking to other people about it, and not producing anything. And it's the actually doing that counts. You've got close friends where you speak to quite frequently. Then you've got friends that you're not really that close with and they dip in and out of. And then you have acquaintances, people that you see on the off chance or you just see because of your daily routine. And each one of those friendship groups will have a level of connection that you want to maintain and you want to feed. And usually the quality of your connection would be better with your close friends. Nurture those connections that you want to last. Watering essentially where the grass is already green. It's these type of connections that are going to yield more fulfillment. It's not going to be the amount of followers that you have or likes that you get. Fulfillment, very unlikely, is going to come from acquaintances or people that are dipping in and out of your life. Your character counts. Do what you say and mean what you do. As harsh as it sounds, within work, family, or friends, you are known for something. Are you the reliable type? Are you the one that makes everyone laugh? Are you the one always getting into arguments? Are you the drinker of the group? Or the one that likes to organize things and gets the group together? We all have a type of social currency. Try to be objective. Think about what you're not good at. It's probably best if you ask someone, where can I improve? What could I be better at? Could be your friends, your colleagues, family. Choose one thing and try to make an improvement on that. I know personally I'm not the best at staying in touch with friends. I need to make a more of a concerted effort to check in with people. So I'm trying to get better with organizing meetups. And when you're asking someone maybe what can I improve on, it might be something that you're totally oblivious to. And those are lessons I wish I knew earlier. Now that brings me to a close. If you like this video, please smash the like button. If you have anything to say, please comment below. And if you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe. And I'll see you guys in another one. Bye bye.